Hola clase! Welcome, welcome. You can see here that I have a set of topics that we're going to talk about today. These are all interventions or reviews, as it would be. These are the type of mistakes. We're going to go over the mistakes that you guys have been making on your last 2 weeks of work. So we're going to go over it. We're going to look specifically at the types of mistakes that you guys are making in each of these categories. Preterite versus imperfect, preterite imperfect endings, por versus para, of course, because we've just barely learned por versus para. Using hacer in the past tense when somebody asks you what you did, and then people are still always answering with I did ski. You want to say I skied. You don't want to say I did ski. Matching in number and gender. It doesn't go away just because we're in the past tense. Of course, same gustar does not mean like. We knew that in the present. It doesn't mean like in the past either. And then a lot of you forgot how to use possessives, his or hers. You just used he and she, which sounds kind of funny. So we'll talk about it. First, preterite versus imperfect. There was a sentence in the Goldilocks assignment that a lot of you missed, and it says they were going to eat. If you see the ing on going, that should totally give away whether we're talking about a specific moment in time or not. If it's ing, it's going to be continual. But most of you put fueron a comer. They went to eat. You used preterite, referring a specific journey of going to eat, or a specific journey where they went to eat, right? It's not talking about a continual process of they were going. They were in a state that they were going to eat, but they actually didn't. So the correct answer there would have been iban a comer. Also, from the Goldilocks assignment, ellos tener malas memorias. So they had bad memories, right? Tener, to have, mal, bad. So they had bad memories. We should know instantly if it's tener and you have something, you're going to continually have it, right? So instantly we should probably know what this would be. However, the most common answer that I got was tuvieron. They had bad memories, but it's referring to a specific moment in a specific instance. And you don't really have, if it's a memory, it's still in you constantly. It's not going to be a specific moment. And so if you're talking about a specific moment of memories, it can't be plural. It would have to be mala memoria, even if we were to somehow use tener in the preterite there. So the actual correct answer would need to be tenían malas memorias, because they continually hold those memories, and that's why they can't eat human flesh anymore. Another one of the biggest mistakes you guys have been making on your papers in the preterite and imperfect endings of things, you're forgetting a lot of the irregulars. So estar feels like a regular AR verb. It's not. So some of you, in writing your answers for the Spanish playground listening, put estaron en la calle. Well, one, if you're saying where somebody is, that's probably going to be a continual state of where they are. So we're not even going to refer to it as a specific moment. But if you were to refer to it in preterite, which you can, it's just not very common, you would have to use the irregulars of estar, right? It changes to that UV stem change. Estuve, estuviste, estuvo, estuvimos, estuvieron, right? So if we want to say they were in the street, we would have to say estuvieron en la calle, right? Another irregular that we have that pops up a bunch in the preterite is the verb decir, to say. So again, from Goldilocks assignment, Rubia deseó que era perfecta. She said that it was perfect. No, that's not how even though that's a normal IR ending for decir, decir is irregular, right? It's the bug verb because it has that IJ, right? Dije, dijiste, dijo, dijimos, dijeron. So if we want to say that Rubia said that it was perfect, we would say Rubia dijo que era perfecta. Da-da-da-da. Another mistake that some people made is they just forgot that the ER-IR endings existed. This wasn't as common of a mistake, but it still happened enough that I wanted to mention it for just a second. Just a reminder, the normal preterite verbs, if we look at it, for preterite endings AR, it's going to be a, aste, o, amos, aron, or I, iste, yo, imos, ieron for ER, IR preterite endings. The examples that I got, maybe again for the Spanish playground listening, I got a lot of examples like this. El corró y corró. Correr is an ER verb, and so it wouldn't have just an O, it would be corrió. It would have an IR ending for the he, she form. Corrió. If we look at gustar, this was a sentence I got a lot when people were talking about on the ¿Qué hiciste assignment if the people liked what they had for dinner on Sunday. And people put él gusta pizza, not even using past tense, or they put él gustó pizza, meaning he pleased pizza. What? Pizza cannot be pleased. This is not a person. You can't say él gustó pizza. You need to say that the pizza pleased him. So you'd have to say a él le gusta pizza. We know how to do this in the present. We've done this before. If we are making a person the object of the sentence, we have to put an a in front of their pronoun. A él le gusta pizza. Even if they just had él le gusta pizza, it would be wrong. But you don't even need the IL at all because we know who the he is, so we should just say le gusta pizza. Perfect. So again, a lot of people in their past tense put él gustó la pizza. He pleased the pizza. It doesn't quite work that way. We need to say le gustó la pizza, meaning that the pizza pleased him. Hacer in preterite. This is very specific with the ¿Qué hiciste assignment. A lot of you made this mistake. Certainly not on all of your questions, but it popped up in a lot of your student questions here. It's like, ¿Qué hiciste? What did you do? And people just felt like they automatically had to answer with hacer. So they'd say something like, hice lavar los platos. No. I did to wash the plates. That's not how we would say it in English. That's not how they would say it in Spanish. They would say, I washed the plates, just like we would in English, right? Lavé los platos. They took lavar, they took off the AR ending of lavar, and they put the preterite tense ending there. They didn't use hacer at all, just how we do in English. If you say, what did you do? We wouldn't say, I do something. No, we say, I washed the plates. We go right to the verb of what we actually did. In the Spanish playground listening, we missed a lot of matching in number, specifically with the verbs. Normally when we're talking about matching in number and gender, we are referring to adjectives. In this case, the mistake we made was with verbs. So some pens fell. Our subject is the pens, and the verb is to fall. In English, there's not going to be any difference. In Spanish, there is. Right? So a lot of you, most common answer I got on this question was cayó unas plumas. He or she fell some pens. Well, pens are not a he or she. Pens would be a they, because pens is plural. And so cayer or cayó needs to match in number and gender. So we need to say that they fell, meaning the pens, right? So some pens fell is what we would want to say in Spanish, which would be cayeron unas plumas, which is putting the they form. If you see that Y there, that's to prevent there being three vowels in a row. Cayer is one of those double vowel peoples. Same with leer, would have a Y to prevent having those three vowels in a row. Something that we've kind of already learned, but maybe not done with this specific word before. Possessives was another thing that suddenly went out the window just because we were suddenly talking about the past tense. And they still exist the same way. This happened a lot on the ¿Qué hiciste assignment. People talked about going to this place or his house or his dinner or his family, whatever it is, or her family or whatever they were talking about. This was a very common sentence that I saw. Él fue a ella casa, which if we translate that directly, it would be he went to she house. Mixing up possessives is another great way to sound a little silly when you're learning a language. If we remember our possessives, mi, tu, su, nuestro, su, meaning él fue a su casa. I like using the casa as an example because of the very famous Spanish phrase, mi casa es tu casa, right? That's using possessives, or if you wanted to use the formal, mi casa es su casa, using the usted form. Those are the boxes. We know how the conjugation boxes work. Mi, tu, su, nuestro, su is just our possessives. So yeah, using ella or él for he or she, for him or her, is just not going to work. Oh yeah, nice timing there, Mr. Crockett. Messed up the slide. Order. Anywho, last one. Talking about por versus para. I had a lot of students just use the cause or reason versus purpose reasoning on their papers. They're not the only differences between por versus para, and using a cause or reason versus purpose is only a scenario that happens every once in a while in por versus para. This isn't one of those general verses. That's one in a long list of many different things. If you want to think of generally por versus para, the better way to think about it is an end goal in order to versus through or in place of or within. So in your assignment, they were going to the park to ride bikes. In both those cases, their physical destination or their physical end goal was to get to the park, but the whole reason they were going to the park was in order to ride bikes. In both cases, that is a purpose rather than a cause or a reason. And trying to think of the differences between those two can be a little confusing, and it seems like that's what everybody latched onto, was the cause versus purpose, where it's much easier to think about it as an end goal. Why are they going there? Are they going there to be at the park, or are they going through the park, or are they going within the park, or are they doing something within the park? Even better for most of us, I believe, is doing the visual learning rather than even just thinking of end goal or through or in place of, is if you think of the images that we've talked about, right? We have por, which is the arrow going through the circle, and we have para, which is the arrow approaching the circle. Whenever we have a por or para assignment, or trying to differentiate the two, the best way to look at it is thinking, is that one of the arrows, the action's heading towards something, or is it in the midst of it already? So those are going to be helpful to you when you're thinking of por versus para. I know that we went through a lot in this slideshow, but I think that all of you will be able to keep up pretty well because we've learned all of these principles before. And it's just a review on the types of mistakes you're making on the practices that we're doing. So take a double look at your answers when you're working this week and try not to make any of these types of mistakes. We are going to be having our tests soon, and these will be types of errors that I will be looking for in your test. So if you do not make these errors, you will score very, very well. So please pay attention to these types of things. Try to eliminate these types of errors in your work this week as you're practicing and preparing for the test. So thanks, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.